impact. But if you ask those who are destroying this world, like ISIS, that they want to be happy or not, all of them will answer yes. Well, let me open the very first page of our Holy Scripture, Divine Principle. It begins as follows. Everyone is struggling to attain happiness and avoid misfortune. From the commonplace affairs of individuals to the great events that shape the course of history, each is at root an expression of the human aspiration for ever greater happiness. How, then, does happiness arise? People feel joy when their desires are fulfilled. The word desire, however, is often not understood in its original sense, because in the present circumstances, our desires tend to pursue evil rather than good. Desires which result in injustice do not emanate from a person's original mind. The original mind is well aware that such desires lead to misfortune. Therefore, it repels evil desires and strives to follow the good. So what makes you happy? When do you feel happy? If you like chocolate, I'm sure many of you love chocolate, and somebody gives you very scrumptious Godiva chocolate, and yeah, I can see you smile, right? If you like playing chess, I think some of you are really good at playing chess, and when you win against your opponents, that will bring you a smile too. If you have a good aspiration in some career, then you'll be very happy to graduate a prestigious college and hired by a big company with good salary. Now, scientists say that feeling happiness is related to the hormone called dopamine. It's a real little bit, but they believe that dopamine regulates pleasure. I think many of people know, but just yesterday, when I rechecked about dopamine, then I learned that new theory, actually, which is provided by UConn. UConn's been studying for 20 years. I didn't know that. Wow, but yeah, credit for UConn. And lately, researchers have proved that it regulates motivation, causing individuals to initiate and persevere to obtain something either positive or negative. The researchers said that it was believed that dopamine regulates pleasure and reward, and that we release it when we obtain something that satisfies us. But, in fact, that latest scientific evidence shows that this neurotransmitter acts before that. It actually encourages us to act. In other words, dopamine is released in order to achieve something good or to avoid something evil. I thought this article was very fascinating. And science was not really what I was good at when I was a student. And when we can learn what we can learn and find out through scientific methods always made me interested in the subject, although I wasn't good at getting dopamine. The researchers also say that the level of dopamine depends on individuals. So some people are more persistent than others to achieve a goal. Dopamine leads to maintain the level of activity to achieve what is intended. And also, the more dopamine is released, higher our motivation will become. In this time period of human history, everyone, we can try to figure out about what makes us happy, not only religiously or internally, but also scientifically. We see here the value of perseverance and hope in order to achieve a goal. What is one of our ultimate goals? That is to have a happy life, isn't that? Our happy parent is always feel super genius and super scientist. But how can we obtain true happiness? I read some article recently on one of the Japanese major newspapers. It was a reader's opinion corner. One 30-year-old woman sent her letter there. She wrote like this: I studied very hard, and I went to a very prestigious college. After I graduated, I was hired by a renowned big company. I went to so many foreign countries by business trip. I thought I was doing very well. I was very satisfied with my life. But recently, I started to feel not so satisfied. I started to feel that I want to get married now. But I don't know how. I never been in love with anyone. Can any of you who are reading my letter here give me a good suggestion on how I can get married? It sounds too good to be true for my sermon, right? But actually, this is what I really read. And I was, yeah, she's a good person. She's thinking about more than money now. What she was pursuing was something shallow and external, right? Not necessarily evil, though. Being a proud elite businesswoman and spending money on anything she wants to buy will satisfy some desires for a while. But as our physical self is temporal and limited, happiness which we can feel through social status and things which can be bought is not lasting. After she gained everything that she thought she can be happy with, this woman noticed that she was struggling to gain happiness in the wrong way. After our first ancestor fell, we became separated from God, our heavenly parent. We created an environment in which we'd rather become self-centered. Often, we think we're doing the right thing, but we don't notice that we are making ourselves unfortunate by doing the wrong thing when we think we are doing the right thing. Let me share this Japanese once upon a time story. This is called Grandfather Cherry Blossom. Okay, anyway, that's cute. And in Japanese, it's one of the most famous folk tales in Japan, so everybody knows Hanasaka Chi-san. Once upon a time, there lived a kind old man and his kind wife. And in the next door lived a greedy, grouchy old man with his grouchy wife. One day, the kind old man and his wife heard a crying sound of puppy right outside of their house. As they come out of the house, they found a poor little puppy shivering out there. Since they didn't have children of their own, they took the puppy in. They cleaned him and fed him and gave him a warm place to sleep. They named the puppy Shiro, which means in white in Japanese, because his fur as white as snow. One morning, as the old man was hoeing his field, Shiro came and tugged at his sleeve, as if he wanted to show him something. Shiro scratched the ground and barked, "Uff, uff, dig here, uff, uff." The old man was puzzled, but he started to dig with his hoe. Before long, he struck something hard, and it was a lot of gold. That night, the old man and his wife were sitting at home, talking excitedly about how Shiro had found the treasure. And the greedy old grouch, their neighbor, and his greedy wife happened to be peeking through a hole of their door and spotted the pile of gold. When the grouch overheard the story, he was green with envy. Without being invited, he went into the house and took Shiro, saying, "Oh, I'll give it back tomorrow. Don't worry, I'll give it back right away." He dragged Shiro home, and the next day, Old Grouch and his wife pushed and kicked Shiro, saying, "Where's the gold? Show it to me." When they thought it was the spot and dug there, instead of gold, all sorts of dirty things came out. Angry as he became, he gave Shiro such a blow over the head, he killed his poor dog. The kind old man and his wife were heartbroken. They carried Shiro back home and buried him near their home. They planted a tree next to Shiro's grave. Amazingly, the tree grew very tall overnight. They found it on the following morning when they visited Shiro's grave. They heard the tree saying, "Cut me down, make me into a big wooden ball. Cut me down, make me into a wooden ball." So the old man did, and he and his wife decided to pound mochi, which Shiro loved. He pounded rice in the wooden ball to make mochi, but instead, as he pounded, gold coins came out. So it was, and who should show his face again just at this moment? Of course, the Old Grouch and his wife. Without being invited, without being offered, they carried the wooden bowl saying, "Oh, you'll get it back soon." But as soon as the Old Grouch started to pound rice, all sorts of dirty things came out. As angry he became, he chopped the bowl into pieces and threw it into the fire. When the kind-hearted old man heard what had happened, he broke down and cried. He went to the Grouch's house and gathered up the ashes of the bowl and put them in a basket. Now, it was a windy day, and as he was walking home, the ashes blew onto a withered old cherry tree. And that's when the most wondrous thing of all happened. No sooner had the ashes fallen on the tree than the dry branches sprang back to life and became covered with beautiful cherry blossoms. The old man sprinkled the ashes on more cherry trees. Soon the village was filled with beautiful cherry blossoms. The village people were very happy and spoke about this miracle. The word spread like wildfire from village to village until it reached the ear of the local lord. The Lord visited the old man's village and summoned him to show the miracle. Right in front of the Lord, the old man happily sprinkled the ashes, and much to the Lord's excitement, lovely pink and white flowers appeared. The Lord rewarded him very handsomely. At that moment, a loud voice said, "Just a moment, your lordship. I am the real blossom maker. I am the real grandfather cherry blossom." Of course, who but the greedy Old Grouch from next door? He climbed up a tree and sprinkled the ashes. But nothing happened. Rather, the ashes went into the Lord's eyes. Angry Lord caught him and immediately tried to choke his head. But the kind old man begged the Lord to spare his life. The Old Grouch was saved. He thanked the kind old man and apologized about what he had done to Shiro and the kind couple. After all, the kind couple and their neighbors, used to be greedy man and his wife, became very good friends. The end. And this is one of my favorite folk tales, because eventually the old grouch and his wife give in their grouchiness and become good people. I think true happiness is not defeated by anything. If you are a genuinely happy person, you can also forgive others. I think true happiness is contagious too. Since your happiness is genuine, the people will no longer envy you nor hate you. They want to be like you. How about Jesus? Was he a true happy person? Some say that he had human weakness, and he showed that on the cross by saying, "Oh God, why thou forsaken me?" No way. He was strong. He won against Satan. Or otherwise, Christianity couldn't be blessed and established as the religion of love. How about true parents? The true father went to prison 6 times. Recently, when I checked YouTube, I saw just a glimpse of one clip, which is Japanese military torture. And I saw a picture of the cold airplane torture. If you remember that how true father was tortured by pulled from the ceiling and like an airplane. I saw that picture. I didn't watch this time. Was true father genuinely happy all the time? Even under the torture? Of course, he had an incredible, unimaginable pain, which I cannot imagine. But he forgave Japanese, and he even sent a Korean missionary, Papa Sanche, immediately to Japan after he established a church in Korea. Had both Jesus and true father even just pinpointing amount of grudge to anyone, and they could not carry on God's providence. They possessed genuine happiness centered on Heavenly Parent. So in a sense, it is our mission to be happy in order to make this world a better and happy place. Do you know who will be very happy to see us being happy? Those are our Heavenly Parent and true parents. Because parents' utmost happiness is to see our children being happy. So please try to think how you can be truly happy, or even happier, centered on Heavenly Parent and true parents throughout this week. Let us be true, happy sons and daughters of them. Thank you so much. Let us pray. Our most beloved Heavenly Parents and true parents, thank you for being with us today here in this precious service time on March 8th. Heavenly Parent, we are so grateful that you created this world for us to be happy, although because of the unfortunate human fall, we barely see that in our life. Rather, we see unfortunate events one after another. But we also know that we are here. We know that Jesus and Heavenly true parents have worked so hard to make this world happy and peaceful place. As we pledge with our family pledge, let us really be your representative to show what original happiness is, what the genuine happiness is. Thank you so much for being with us today through this sermon. That please guide each one of us throughout this week with your true love and the power of true love. Thank you. I pray in the name of everyone who gathered here, and also Robert and Michiko Kim, bless Central Family. Aju.